Hello, guys. Welcome back to Lunatic Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Lori Lothian, and we're going to dig in and really dig into this eclipse that's coming up, the full lunar eclipse that's happening for all of us in the sky on May the 26th. It's pretty exciting. It's pretty good, actually. It's got more goodness than not, and it's got a lot of power because it's hooking up to a square to Jupiter, and Jupiter's under the light of a really cool asteroid and a really cool fixed star. So it's going to have a lot of potency, and it certainly is going to have a lot of strength for people whose ascendant is on the or ascendant sign is on one of the angles to this eclipse, or in the sign which the eclipse is happening, which is in the sign of Sagittarius. But if you have an ascendant, a rising sign in Sagittarius or Gemini or Pisces or Virgo, you're going to really get a lot of juice out of this eclipse. Now, I want you to be patient here because you will get your own all signs, particular section for your rising sign, your sun and rising sign, sun and moon, and they'll all be timestamped. But I'm going to spend at least 10 minutes here going into this eclipse itself because it has a lot of intense and really quite magical energy. And I really want to go into it with you, and I'll show you as well what I'm seeing on the screen. So if you don't want to wait for this stuff, then you could just fast forward to your own sign. But I suggest you check in with what, the bigger meaning is. Also, please don't forget to hit the notification bell, like, subscribe, and comment. Helps my channel grow. I have a little a promotion on right now. For everyone who signs up for my newsletter between now and May the 30th, you'll be entered into a draw for a free reading. I'm going to give away 2 free readings, and I'm going to give away a book. A book set called The Book of the Moon. I meant to show it to you guys, and I don't have it handy. But there's going to be 2 readings and a book set that I'll mail anywhere in the world. And the description link below is to this newsletter sign up. And if you sign up as a new subscriber to my weekly astrology forecast newsletter between now and May the 30th, your name is in the draw. And I'll be announcing the winners here on my channel. Okay, let's dig into this incredibly exciting lunar eclipse. So I want to start off by simply talking about what a lunar eclipse is. If you're new to astrology, right? It's astronomy. It's a sun and a moon in an opposition, 180 degrees across from each other in the sky. And in this case, it's the moon in the sign of Sagittarius, and the eclipse degree is 5.5 degrees approximately of Sagittarius, and the sun across the way at the same degree in the opposite sign, which is Gemini. And so what happens is when these full moons, in this case a full moon, occur close to the nodes, the south and north node of the moon, which is a math point that tells us where eclipse will happen, then we're going to have an eclipse. In this case, it's really close to the node. It's only 5 degrees off the south node, north node axis. So we're having what we will call a total solar eclipse. Totality gives it power. It's stronger than a weak eclipse. Probably wondering what this is. Sorry about that backdrop. That's my teaching class for the ongoing divine timing class. And I forgot to change it. So we have this full moon. It's going to be really potent for anybody who has an ascendant, particularly in those angles, either the Sag, the Gemini, the Pisces, or the Virgo angles, because those form crosses, right? That's like the cross angles, the crosshairs. It's like the angular energies to the actual eclipse. So for these people, I'll spend a little more time when I get to the all signs explaining why I think this is going to be a powerful shift for you guys. And now a lunar eclipse is debatable in terms of duration of impact. But first of all, let me talk about what the impact is. It's a fullness and a fruition and a culmination that can often bring endings because it is a full moon, and full moons stand for that completion and that fruition and that fruiting energy. But it also is a revelatory energy. It reveals things that are hidden from us. And it was Austin Coppock who came up with this on one of the Chris Brennan's astrology podcast, maybe a year ago. And he talked about how it reveals things like a blacklight poster does, or the luminol on the crime scene, where you shine the light to find the blood that was cleaned up because you've got the special spray and a special light. I love those examples. It does reveal something that you couldn't perceive, see, or know. So sometimes secrets are revealed, new understandings dawn on you, new clarity dawns on you. So I'm going to give you an example of that. Okay, and why does it reveal? If you want to think about it, there is this kind of watch a lunar eclipse. Well, if you want, and the moon turns a weird, eerie orange red, right? This kind of a new kind of light shining on the situation as the eclipse happens. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by revelation, right? I had a lunar eclipse, happened in my chart on the last of the eclipse cycles, which was November 30th, and it happened right on the IC. The eclipse was at Gemini 8, and my IC is at Gemini 9. IC is the root of the chart, but it represents the home, right? It represents where you live, like your apartment, that kind of thing. And I remember thinking to myself in November, I'm going to have to move. I just had an eclipse to the IC. Why would I move? I just moved to Montreal 2 years ago. Well, I'm not going to go into all the circumstances, but there was a big revelation that occurred within 6 months of that eclipse. Technically, it was in April. So like, almost, a tail end of the 6-month window. And I had a big aha, and I realized I needed to move. So I am relocating again from Montreal back to Vancouver, Canada. So, I mean, it's kind of eerie that way, right? But it came because of a new understanding, revelation, or aha that made it clear it was important for me to relocate yet again. Yay. So, okay. So you're going to expect then maybe something coming to an end, a culmination, or a revelation as a result of the eclipse. Some astrologers think you're going to get that revelation within a couple of weeks of the eclipse. Some say it's within 6 months. My experience is you can have an acute revelation within 2 or 3 weeks after the eclipse, but you're certainly going to have the big aha develop or show up by 6 months. Okay, so 6 months after, which I just demonstrated for you. Nothing like empiricism. Look at your own life, check what happens. How long does it play out in which some kind of shift happens that's relevant to the eclipse. Now, I want to also talk about a few other things about this particular eclipse. Number one, this is a happier sky under which it's falling. What do I mean by a happy sky? I mean, in general, it's a healthy, happy sky. We have planets in dignity, and that always means kind of the sky is robust. The sky is healthy when this eclipse is happening. Saturn in dignity in Aquarius, his traditional rulership. Jupiter in dignity in Pisces, all about the first or second degree of Pisces, but he's in there in dignity in his traditional sign of rulership. He owns the land, the real estate of Pisces. Mercury in dignity in Gemini. So this dignified sky is kind of a healthy sky. And then Mars is a malefic, and he's stuck in the sign of Cancer. And that's not his dignity. That's a sign of his debility. However, I think that's good. I think it's like he's off on a swimming vacation, in the waters of Cancer, and having a relaxation, maybe on his back on a floaty toy or something. So where Mars can normally cause conflict, debate, arguments, and even plagues, by the way, he is the god of plagues. He is in Babylonian astrology. He is weakened in Cancer. So I think with the strength of Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury, and the weakness of Mars, we're looking at a collective 6 months ahead where I think we're going to see some really good stuff happen. Now, certainly, I think that's going to really decrease the pandemic strength. There's no doubt about it. Like, I'm going with pandemic on the wane, seriously, between now and 6 months from this eclipse. Now, because you kind of bake in a weak Mars, and so there's a 6-month vibe of Mars having a vacay from plague making. And just so you know, you want to look at eclipse cycles contextually to the last cycle. The last time the North and South Node in the tropical zodiac moved through the the Gemini, Sagittarius axis, which is where these eclipses are happening. South Node, North Node, they're always opposite each other, like a barbell or a dumbbell, two sides of the same coin. This is something that happened mid-October 2001 to April of 2003. So you can go back in your life and start asking yourself, these are my cheat sheets, so I don't forget to tell you things. What happened to you in your own story back then? It's not going to be exactly the same. There's other planets in the sky and new places and different temperaments of the planets where they're sitting, but there's going to be some thematic generalizations you can make. Okay, so like I'll tell you my story because I can give me as a great example. Oops, you're on a TV stand thing. So back in 2001, after 9/11 through to 2023, the North Node eclipses were going through my house of romantic love affairs. Okay, yeah, I had a crazy ass long distance romantic love affair during that time. So what can you do, And we had to email each other. It was at a distance. Now, it's just a big difference between then and now. First of all, then I was, kind of like at the tail end of a marriage. It was a bit of a dicey time to have a long distance email love affair. there was also the focus on my children, like the North Node put my focus on particularly my daughter at the time, who was going through some health issues. And I have a lot of focus on my daughter since this eclipse cycle started. And even though the eclipses began on November 30th and December 14th behind us, the North Node transited into my 5th house in the middle of the summer, okay, 2020. Same with everybody. The North Node traveling through the sky entered into Gemini, which is my 5th house. So children and romantic love affairs, those have been the preoccupation. Well, certainly the child thing with my daughter and her health again, but also, get a little bit of a long distance flirtation going with a guy again. So it's like so eerie how this stuff just repeats itself, So look back to your life to get a sense of some of the broad brushstroke themes of what was happening then, because some of those will repeat now. Okay. There is a feeling with both Venus and Gemini and Mercury in Gemini, kind of attending to the eclipse, because even though the eclipse is happening on the axis, right, of Gemini and Sag. That's because the sun is in Gemini and the moon is in Sag. So those are the active axes. So around the sun, bundled near the sun, okay, and bundled near the North Node in Gemini, hanging out there are Venus and Mercury. So you can almost kind of say maybe there's a feeling that this eclipse will involve money and love and communications and marketing and merchandising. I'm just mashing up a bunch of Mercury and Venus themes that prevail through your story for the next 6 months. Venus is a benefic. It's not bad to have a benefic in proximity to an eclipse. Not bad to have Mercury, the god of messages and news and marketing and selling and writing, having him in dignity in the same place where the eclipse is happening. So this makes us a very sweet eclipse. I'm really excited. Now, lastly, before we go to the all signs, and I will show you the charts in a minute, there is a square to Jupiter, okay? And it creates a T-square, which looks like this in the sky. So sun and moon are opposite each other. Jupiter's here, and then this makes it like a triangle, a T-square triangle. That is a tension angle. It can bring greatness. It can bring action. It can force us to achieve and become successful and push for something. It's like a mama labor energy. You got to push to make things happen because it's a combination of an opposition and square. So it's a bunch of tension energy. So there's that. But then where Jupiter sits in the sky in strength as a benefic in his dignity, right? In Pisces, yay. Sitting on the star Formalhaut, a beautiful spiritual star of occult wisdom and knowledge and magic, okay? And it's a royal Persian star, and it's associated with the archangel. It's Archangel Gabriel, okay? So it's got this kind of cool spiritual juice behind it, T-square or not. I love this book. I'm always promoting her book. Elizabeth Hazel's Little Book of Fixed Stars matches my whole outfit even. And I want to just give you her short code on Formalhaut. Bless her soul, she wrote a great book. I'm going to have to put a link to her in my description box so you can go check out this amazing astrologer's work. She's got her fingers in the stars. Okay, so Formalhaut is in the sky at 4 degrees of Pisces. Okay, that's where it sits. And this eclipse is happening at 2 degrees of Pisces. So that's an orb of influence there. And it's Formalhaut, by the way, at the winter solstice in 3000 BC, this was the star that was at the solstice point, which is interesting. So it amplifies good or difficult planets it touches. So it's amplifying Jupiter. Jupiter is a good planet, guys. I'm born with Jupiter at 2 degrees of Pisces. So this is a really cool eclipse for me. So I'm getting this like, whoa, to my Jupiter moment. I'm having a Jupiter return with an eclipse T-squaring the Jupiter. Yeah, I'll let you know how that works. Good news, it's in a money house for me, so help me win the lottery. So back to the thing, a mystic, magic, charismatic, fame, lasting name, fortune and power, occult and spiritual interests, narrow escapes, occult and tricky secrets, she says. Tricky secrets. Well, you know how the lunar eclipse can reveal secrets? Well, Jupiter on Formalhaut could be revealing a tricky secret. We'll keep that in mind on the all signs section of the broadcast here. If you have a secret coming to light in that Jupiter zone as well. Finally, there's a strange asteroid called Gonggong, G-O-N. It's a sea serpent with the head of a human and the body of a serpent from China. It's a very strange write-up on it, okay? And I'm not going to pretend I know enough about this asteroid, but hello, it's sitting on Jupiter, which has got Formalhaut backing him up, T-squaring an eclipse. So Gonggong, let me pull Gonggong up from my software, not to pretend I can remember the details, but which I can't. So I'm going to share it with you by going into the write-up, which makes a heck of a lot more sense than me pretending to remember all of Gonggong's details. Jupiter Gonggong, where are you? Unless I made it up. I thought I saw Gonggong there. Yep, Gonggong. So Gonggong is asteroid 225088 for you asteroid buffs. So is it a destructive Chinese water god, human head, body of a serpent? Okay. The write-up by the astrologer who created this write-up for it, Roderick Kidman, is this: facing how one's selfishness is impacting others, learning to focus on the needs of another, tuning into the soul of a group, such as the soul of humanity, and what needs healing on a soul level. So that's not too bad, given that I think we're all post-traumatic stressed as a collective about that pandemic year and a bit behind us. Healing on a soul level, the soul of humanity, does sound like a good way to interpret that sea serpent, rather than like a negative force of catastrophe, which it has been associated with as well. Jupiter is in Pisces. Gonggong is sometimes associated with catastrophe. Pisces is obviously a water sign. So I'm not going to pretend. It could possibly be that there's going to be some kind of tsunami event or big water event in the world, massive flood or something like that in the months that follow, if not weeks that follow this eclipse. Just can't not say that possibility exists, all right? But who knows? Sometimes catastrophe binds us together and makes us feel like we are one. So I'm going to share the screen with you because we're going to start looking at the eclipse itself and talking about the all signs in a very short minute. Thanks for your patience. Now, I'm not going to spend 10 minutes on each sign, guys, but I am going to try to give you the outline. So here is the eclipse. The sun and the moon are opposite each other, and you can see there's the moon and there's the sun. This is happening around 7:13 a.m. in Montreal, Canada. That's Eastern daily time. But, you know, the whole day is an eclipse day. Take it easy, rest, purify, don't get argumentative, be sattvic, be calm. That's the Vedic approach to eclipses. I agree with it. I wouldn't get into a fist fight that day. You kind of stamp the energy into the next 6 months. And I want to make that bigger in case you guys are getting tiny picture. There we go. Sorry. And also you can say or see in this particular image that there's that co-presence of Venus, a benefic, and Mercury in his own sign, giving a strength to this eclipse as well. It might be worth noting as well that because it's a south node eclipse, it's a letting go and a surrendering and a lot energy of loss, you know, as opposed to attain and action and move and grasp and get the north node. It could also mean that this moon, as it comes into its eclipse energy, will be more about letting go and releasing than it will be about attaining and getting. You see that triangle that I pointed at with my fingers, right? Oh, I meant to mention something. There's a Sabian symbol, something like playing a cricket game or a game of cricket sportsmanship that this moon is sitting on at 6 degrees, always around Sabian Sagittarius. And the key words in this book that I love, it's called A Screen of Prophecy for that Sabian symbol, are refinement, propriety, decorum, etiquette, sportsmanship, playing by the rules, ethics, morals, scruples, integrity, and fairness. I'm just going to plant that. I'm not a big Sabian symbol user, but every now and then, especially with an eclipse, it might be nice to focus on that sportsmanship, gamesmanship, fairness element, because Jupiter is the lord of justice, fairness, and stuff like that. And of course, cosmic justice as well. So, you know, what fairness needs to be restored to the collective? What cosmic justice should be restored to the collective? So here we have this T-square and Jupiter here. So each sign is going to experience this energy of this propulsion of tension that is going to bring something good from it. So we will talk about that in the all signs. And I'm going to start with what's on my screen. It's easier than relocating the whole chart. So we're starting with, yes, because this is where the eclipse falls in Montreal, right? You can do this for wherever you live if you have just any online software. put in the time, just for your time zone, 7:13 a.m. Montreal, Canada, adjust your time zone, and then see what's the rising sign at the time of the eclipse. So here in Montreal, it's going to be rising, okay, rising in the sky in the eastern horizon, rising sign, eastern horizon sign is Cancer, right? So I'm saturated in that energy as this eclipse happens. All right, I can even make assumptions about that because Cancer rules my sixth house of health protocols and work. So those might be my focus because I was here during the eclipse. There might be residual energy there. So look to see what the rising sign is and how that rising sign relates to your natal chart. It could be kind of interesting. So let's start with Cancer. Cancer sun, moon, but especially rising sign. Well, first of all, you guys are very lunar ruled, right? The moon is the lord of the rising sign of Cancer. So all lunar eclipses tend to have more impact on Cancer rising, particularly people. So this is going to always be the case for you guys, just a note to file. And, you know, with the T-point juncture of this Jupiter in Pisces up here, some of the themes that you might experience over the next 6 months, if not in a shorter acute window. All right, let's go into that. First of all, the moon is eclipsing in your house of health protocols and work. Some of you Cancer rising folk are probably going to clean up your health act, refine your health act, and straighten up your health. Sometimes it happens, you know, because you have a natural flow there, and sometimes it's kind of foisted upon you. And because Jupiter owns the real estate in which the moon is sitting, Sagittarius is his domain, he's going to have a big say in this thing. He's going to talk to you about what you need to do. This is a coach, a guide, a teacher. You may take a course or study something to do with nutrition or health, especially given that he's in the house of education. Some of you may even decide to go to school because of this eclipse and get some kind of new education that fortifies your desire for your career, your work. Because the sixth house is like, it's the work you actually do. You can call me an astrologer. That's a 10th house moniker. But I do sit with people one-on-one on Zoom calls, and I counsel people. That's the quality of the routine of the work. So if you're wondering why I'm leaning, it's because my mic is over here. Yeah, you know, you see it. I'm kind of awkwardly placed in my bedroom because I'm selling all my furniture to move. So, okay, so Cancer dudes and gals, you're going to find health protocols, exercise routines, health maintenance, health improvements, and work changes and improvements in work because you're learning something new are going to all occur. Now, it's kind of an intense time as well. I don't want to get too sideways on it, but all Cancer risings are having Saturn going through your 8th house till 2003. That's often a very strong time of rebirth. And Saturn is giving you a new lease on your career because he's relating to the career house in a sextile, and he's technically he's 11 signs away from the house of career. So if you're counting around the clock, so Saturn in your 8th house now, going through here till 2003 March, is trying to rebirth your career. And I think this eclipse has a huge say in that process for sure. There's not really any cautionary tale, but I would also say that because of the involvement peripherally of Venus and Mercury, you could also have some secret love affair, hidden love affair, secret communications going on because the 12th house can be a hidden house. Or you could have, you know, a very low-key, undercover, stealth-like money story going on as well. Venus rules money, like, you know, you're stashing money under your mattress or you're hiding money in offshore accounts or something like that, or hiding money from the tax guys, you know. But you know, with such goodness there, even if it's a square from Jupiter, you know, I think things work out. Now that Jupiter square will propel you to need to take action. So you need to take action to educate, learn, or whatever, or become involved in something 9th house. Foreign lands are 9th house. Last thing I'll say, some of you Cancers may jaunt off to a foreign land, and that's very possible because you've got action in the 12th house. That's a foreign land house. You've got action in the 9th. That's a foreign land house. So I guess I'd say in the next 6 months, some of you Cancers are going to go off to a foreign land and do a little spiritual retreat or reorganization of your life, and maybe for health reasons as well. Okay, Cancer sun, moon, and mostly or especially rising sign. Moving on. I have a feeling I always give the first sign the most attention. Is that true? Leo sun, Leo moon, Leo ascendant. This is you guys, right? First First house is Leo. So if your rising sign is Leo, especially, but to some degree, sun and moon as well already, you're going to feel this energy quite strongly in your house of your children and in the house of romantic love. Some of you need to release, surrender, and let go of your connection to children. If you're a helicopter parent, or, I have a friend who's a Leo rising and she just had a baby. I think she's probably going to be weaning away from the full-time mother energy, as time goes on and the baby gets closer to a year old. So that's an example of sort of letting go and releasing a bit and softening South Node in the house of parenting and children. This is also romantic love affairs, and soulmate love affairs can be introduced into the story when the South Node and the moon are being eclipsed in your fifth. Somebody from the past could come back as well, not just past lives, but your own past for romantic re-engagement. A romance that fires up during the 6 months after this eclipse will feel very fated to you. You'll feel like a partner of destiny or divine complement has stepped into the storyline. There's no doubt about it. That sense of familiarity and maybe even eerie recognition that a past life energy, South Node past life energy could bring. With Venus and Mercury up in that 11th house, it's very, very possible that you feel this call to engage in new social circles as of this eclipse in the 6 months that follow. New sisterhoods, new communities of friendship, Venus in the 11th, as well as Mercury, new communications with those folks as well, new ways of communicating. Maybe it's just as simple as we all get to go back to real life circles of people. But Venus is also a money goddess, and the 11th is a money house. It's great gains from the career. Okay, not small gains, great gains. So you could have significant financial uptick in your career money and your money that you have created through your efforts in the world. So sometimes even lucky windfalls, a bit of a pennies from heaven quality to the 11th house can occur. It's a house of karmic reward. It's a house of good spirit. You're baking in a money goddess right next to Mercury, the marketing, commerce, and merchandising do. Money coming to you here, if it's not from career, could be a friend. Friend says, I want to give you some money. I mean, honestly, or does you a favor that leads to some great financial outcome. So Jupiter for you folk, I probably should have said in the beginning, people who have planets near 10 degrees should pay attention, but oh well. So, anyway, so Jupiter is in your house of money, right? This is money that you have because of your spouse's money, business partnership money, other people's money, bank loans, credit card money, debts on credit cards, stuff like that. There's a lot of pressure in investment money. If you bought Bitcoin and it's flying up to all-time highs, maybe it's time to sell it. So you've got this energy. Don't take financial advice from me. This is merely entertainment. But nonetheless, you've got Jupiter in your 8th house, and the quality here is about your 8th house. And there's something that's propelling you here to focus on financial hygiene, maybe tidying up your financial bookkeeping and your records. But you could have some financial breakthroughs as well. Like you could have the most amazing mortgage offer ever, or some rebate of tax money from the government. Jupiter does bring luck, pure and plain and simple. He's a square, but he's a god of luck. So opportunity and expansion. So some good money fortunes likely to come, but you have to take action. It's a square. It's not going to just land in your lap, drop from heaven. You really do have to do something here. So money advisors are Jupiter, right? Like getting a financial advisor, a financial planner, a guider, an expert teacher of money stuff to help you out. Could be something some of you, Leo, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant, especially folk, are up to. Now, this is the house of inheritance, and Jupiter is in the house of inheritance. So I can't pretend that it's not happening, okay? Some of you, Leo, Sun, Moon, and especially rising sign, will likely have an inheritance coming to you. Either you know about it and it's now finally forthcoming, or you don't know about it and there's an inheritance money coming to you. And if there's been any blockages because of problems with securing inheritance funds, legacy funds, then something could break through as well to allow that to happen, especially with the South Node being revelatory, right? So what is revealed, what is shown to you. Alrighty, let's keep going. So Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign or ascendant, same thing, especially the rising sign, right? This is going to be a lunar eclipse, total eclipse in the house of the home where you live. A lot of you Virgos will be moving. A lot of you Virgo ascendants in particular will be picking up and leaving where you live. No doubt about it. And in fact, eclipse windows are funny because the eclipse is on the 26th of May, but you feel it 2 weeks before, really. So anytime, 2 weeks before May 26th, and a cute window maybe 6 weeks after, a lot of you are relocating or you're discovering, revealing south node energy, letting go of one home and a revelation about something around a new home. Certainly any move that some of you are planning. Now, if you don't physically relocate with the fourth house activation, you may be selling real estate or buying real estate or doing something with your home, change your home in some way. But on the other hand, there's that Jupiter energy playing out, and that's activating the marriage house or the business partnerships, or some of you audience, clients, marketplace energies, the other house of the other to who you are. It certainly can bode really well for marriages or long-term committed love relationships. Something shifting in the home base can really create good luck and opportunity in primary love relationship in a committed and monogamous style, whether you're technically a spouse or not. And on top of that, I'm gonna get more comfortable. Give me a minute. All right, so there we go. I'm gonna try to face the mic instead of twisting my body to you guys. Sorry about that. All right. Also, I would say that with this particular sun, North Node Venus, Mercury in the 10th house, the eclipse is baking in career developments for most of you Virgo risings, some sun and moon secondarily. You're going to have an amplification of good luck. Venus is a benefic, maybe through women, in career endeavors, in your reputation, in your social career status, achievement, career attainment energy. Mercury in dignity means that you could have some really good news coming to you after this eclipse about a position and a job, a promotion, a career opportunity, those kinds of things. And then, that Jupiter square, that T square, we've been talking about, it's getting faded here, but it's still there. Jupiter is going to want to bring something happy to you, even in a square. And so you could get a new business partnership. You could get a new client that's an amazeballs client, Jupiter in the 7th house. You could attract literally the luckiest type of client of your life who that becomes the biggest advocate for you. If you need to reach out to the audience because you're like on social media or you have a following or fans, Jupiter will expand your fan base, your following, and your audience over the next 6 months after this eclipse. So it's great for that, for those Virgos who desire to attain fandom or social status through, say social media outlets. Alrighty, I think that's about it. It's just pretty sweet. All right, Libra sun, Libra moon, and Libra rising. I'm gonna just kick back and put the mic in my hand like I'm an MC. Oh my God. Okay, setting up my office, guys, in my bedroom because my daughter's studying for something in the other room and I've got half my furniture sold is awkward. So you're on I just have to take a break and tell you guys are on a air purifier with 2 board games stacked up. You know what I mean? And I'm on a little stool and it's just so awkward. So I'm kind of uncomfy. All right, moving on. So Libra, sun, moon, and ascendant. You guys are going to have a full lunar eclipse in the house of siblings. That's the 3rd house, the house of short trips and travel, especially domestic, learning, especially skills-based education. Sometimes it's online stuff like social media platforms, building a websites, marketing, merchandising, communication, self-expression, writing for sure. All right. All of that 3rd house stuff and oracles and diviners belong in the house of the goddess, the 3rd house. The moon is in its joy in the 3rd house in Hellenistic astrology. So it's not a bad place to have a lunar eclipse in the house of its joy for you Libra, sun, moon, and ascendants. Hello, that's a very happy moon. So yes, you need to let go. Maybe it's something to do with the siblings, something to do with a trip that you'd planned, maybe some softening around travel plans or sibling relationships. But, you know, the Jupiter piece, right? The Jupiter T square, Jupiter over here in your sixth house, well, that does call you to strong positive developments through choice, action, and intention to succeed in your career path as you look at the kind of work that you do. Now, Jupiter, you know, stamping in for 6 months to your sixth house of work could be a great opportunity for new employment. If you're an employer, you hire the best employee. It could be a chance to become an instructor or teacher or guide as a way of being employed in the world. You also possibly could take an educational course, like, you know, sometimes employers put you out to learn something, and it would be very auspicious for you. And then the energy at the top of the chart is your ninth house, and that ninth house is about dharma. What's your purpose? What's the meaning of life? Is it truth in God and wisdom and publications and foreign lands, gurus and spiritual guides, religion, all of that, with courts as well. Certainly, if you have any court stuff going on, Jupiter's the god of law and legal affairs, and he's going to support that, although through a gritty square, meaning you have to take action to create success. But again, he's on a Formalhaut, a beautiful star, Archangel Gabriel, hanging out with Jupiter could bring you a lot of fortunate outcomes in legal matters. With Venus in the house of legal matters and foreign lands, along with the goddess of pleasure, but along with Mercury. Mercury is the fine print, the details, especially in Gemini, contracts and negotiations and mediation. It looks a lot like you could really succeed, even financially, for some of you through those fine print legal dealings. But also, you know, the ninth house could actually give you an opportunity over the next 6 months to take a trip to some foreign shore that's going to be really powerfully impacting your work and the work you do in the world. I mean, the ninth and the third are travel houses, okay? They often connect to journeys and trips. The third is journeys and trips, but the ninth is foreign shores. So keep it in mind. The ancient world, they would pilgrimage in the ninth house, right? Go off to the pilgrimage to the altar or the Apollo, all thingy or whatever. So there's something going on there where you may take a journey that has great spiritual merit, but it informs your work. Lastly, your health. Protocols to avoid being sick is the sixth house. Jupiter there is going to support you over the next 6 months after this eclipse to find new protocols for health. And of course, Jupiter's education and guru and teacher and guide, instructor. So you may end up taking some new lessons and learning about how to fortify your physical body and keep it healthy, strong, and well. All right, Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon, Scorpio ascendant. This is your energetic moon in the money axis of the chart. That's 2 and 8. You can just basically count on this being a bit of a money revolution for you over the next 6 months. Now, don't forget, eclipses are in this quarter for you to the end of the year. But in the next 6 months, there's a particular flavor that's unfolding. And this flavor for you is that the moon on the south node is saying soften, release, surrender, let go a little bit of your grip on the hustle, the earnings, the worry about your survival needs, the need to kind of, you know, make sure your food, shelter, and water are covered all the time. You know, the grinding energy of creating earnings. Now, the second house is self-possession and self-worth and self-love, you know, in more modern astrology, in the degree to which we self-possess and self-love and have self-worth, we often reflect it in our own net worth, right? Financially. It's also the house of voice, you know, speech and vocation. And vocation will carry the call, voice, all Latin words are the derivative of the same root. So you may have a releasing of vocational focus as you may shift the eclipses may be asking a lot of you Scorpios to shift your, especially Scorpio rising, to shift your vocation over the next year. I mean, the eclipses are in play till the end of this year into early next year, 2022. You could look at this as well as the opposite houses. There's a lot of North Node energy in the house of inheritance, the 8th house at the top there, the house of bank loans and mortgages and spousal money and business partnership and investment money. Now, it's a house of inheritance. And so some of you in the next 6 months may stand to inherit some money. And I'm just, especially with the goddess of money, Venus there, and Mercury sitting in dignity there. And, you know, that could be actually a very fortifying thing because Mercury is the fine print and legal details, and Venus is a lucky benefic. So, you know, no one wants to have an inheritance because we've lost someone we love. But in this case, it looks like the universe is trying to bring you blessings and move you out of the hustle zone. The T square to Jupiter down in the fifth house is going to fortify the house of children, pregnancy, childbirth, inspiration, the muse, fun, play, pleasure, and romantic love and sexuality. Okay, like that's crazy, as yummy. Some of you who want to be independent business types and entrepreneurs and own your own biz, this is a good spot for that too, the fifth house. So there's like 6 months of yummy coming, you know. Jupiter will make you work for it because he's squaring the nodes. You know, you have to take the appropriate action to carve out the fun time, the play time, the sex time. You could easily make a baby here in the next 6 months. Be careful of making a baby, whether you're the guy or the girl, isn't your preference, because Jupiter stamping for 6 months, his influence into your fifth house is a sperminator, and he does make babies. I mean, he bypasses IUDs and the pill. I've seen it over and over again. So you're in a fertility window. If you're an artist, a musician, a singer, a performer, this is going to expand your reach and your range here. Jupiter could bring you a teacher, like an acting teacher, a music teacher or something, or you could end up teaching some of these things as well. But it will be lucky breaks there. Finally, it's a lucky money house anyway. It's a lucky house. It's a money house. Jupiter's there. So you could have some, independent of the inheritance stories, just some lucky money breaks in the 6 months that follow this eclipse. It's a house of speculation. Buy a lottery ticket. What the heck? Just don't go overboard. Buy a lottery ticket now and then over the next 6 months. Speculative luck can be had. All right, let's keep going. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and ascendant, especially the rising sign. The ascendant is most accurate. So you got to let go of yourself. You know, you got to release who you think you are. This is an identity overhaul. All right. It's time to say goodbye to the old you and to decide who the new you is. And I just had that thought in my recording. I do this every time. I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to come back. Oh, thank God I'm recording. I do this every time. You get it, Sag. You got my, oh my God, am I recording moment. It's yours this time around. Because sometimes I pause, like to get a glass of water, and then I think, did I start it up again? You know, oh no, did I start? All right, were we sharing the screen? I think so. So, okay. So back to you, Sagittarius, letting go of your identity, releasing, surrendering, softening, you know, who you think you are is South Node eclipse. If your ascendant for you Sagittarius is close to that 10-degree mark, you know, and the actual eclipse is at 10 degrees. It's just, I've progressed the chart. If you have an ascendant with the 3 degrees on either side of 10 Sag, it's a big one for you, okay? It's a doozy of an identity overhaul. Now, South Node sometimes on the ascendant can be a loss of vigor and vitality and sometimes health. Don't fret. If that happens, it's just a wake up, a shift, a time to like really look at your body and love it differently. You know, it's got a purpose to it. Jupiter will help make it a good thing. Your 7th house, where the Sun, North Node, Venus, and Mercury are piled up, this is about your marriage or your significant other, your clients, your audience, all of that. The marketplace, if you have a marketplace to which you address your wares and stuff. And, you know, for some of you Sagittarius, you need to focus on that relationship, less on you. Maybe your partner needs your attention. Maybe they're distressed. Maybe there's problems at home. And, you know, maybe it's not about you or them, it's and them. Maybe this is the test of the you and me, not you or me. There's an expression in psychology, you're responsible only for 100% of your 50%. Maybe some of you Sages are trying to figure that out. Now, if you're a single Sag, you could end up with a relationship that is propelled through this eclipse cycle. And this particular one, it's like that North Node Sun, Venus, the goddess of love, Mercury combination, Venus, goddess of love in the 7th house with Mercury, a message from somebody, a message in a bottle, a news, information, emails from someone, a female maybe, but also just love, the theme of love. They could stir a new committed love story in your life. Jupiter in your 4th house, Sagittarius people. Okay, so this is your home, bringing goodness to your home. You could expand your home, add an addition, buy a new home, sell a home, fortify your home. Something good is happening in your domestic private life. The eclipse is going to force you to take action to improve your home life. Maybe it's time for a new move. A lot of you Sagittarius will relocate with that Jupiter in the 4th house in this eclipse, because it's what Jupiter is asking for, but it will bring you betterness, okay? It will take you to a better place. Maybe near water, right? There's Pisces there, nearer to the water. And making your house a temple, making your house a sanctuary, because Pisces is a mystical, transcendent, spiritual stuff. And, you know, Jupiter is the guru, dispeller of darkness. So some of you might even have a spiritual teacher visit your home in the next 6 months. But if it's not that literal, it should make your home the sanctuary, the temple, and the ashram. All right, time to fortify your spiritual life in your home base. Anything else I'd say about this? If you want to study occult wisdom and knowledge or learn anything from home, Jupiter in the 4th, learning from home, home-based learning. If you're a teacher online like me, home-based teaching with the occult energies and the magical energies of Formalhaut, the star that Jupiter's on, certainly applies to that as well. All right, so Capricorn, sun, moon, and ascendant. The experience of the eclipse for you guys is about your health and your work. A lot of energy here and a lot of energy here in the 12th. So the 12th house is a very dark, secret, hidden place. It's your dreams at night. It's your bed pleasures. It's the place where you are almost like covert from your own self. Sometimes it's our own unconscious and our own self-undoing, our own emotional habits and patterns. So moon and south node can actually bring a spiritual guide or teacher to you, south node energy. Lunar, a nurturant, self-loving energy to bring to bear on yourself, being kind to yourself. You could dredge up past lives. Your dreams at night could be very evocative with the moon south node eclipse, lunar eclipse here. Don't be afraid to do crazy things like hypnosis or trance journeys or funky meditation styles as well. All that stuff can be very 12th house, and you could benefit greatly from that. Now, it is a money house, and sometimes it can relate to the 8th house. You may have a loss, a financial loss, but it'll be temporary. Any money that leaves you during this time, you know, there's some goodness that Jupiter's trying to compensate for that. So yeah, that's that. A lot of you Capricorns, you know, you're very materialistically resourceful, and that's a good thing, but sometimes you fixate on safety with money and security. So if there's a bit of a financial letting go, 12th house can be about money from foreign shores, but just can also be a money house. I've really seen it over and over again. It's usually money connected to the 8th house, you know, savings and taxes and stuff like that, loans and debts. Now, your North Node is saying it's time to fix your body, straighten your health out, get in touch with your vitality, your solar force, figure out where your best health practices lie. Mercury could give you new information that you need to strengthen your health. Venus could bring healthy pleasures to you, you know, new food styles or new exercise styles that you actually find enjoyable and pleasurable and like to do, you know. Jupiter, the square to Jupiter, T square to Jupiter in your 3rd house is trips and travel time, maybe over the next 6 months, to take short journeys that bring you pleasure and fortify you. Some of you are looking at, you know, the energy of Jupiter in the house of siblings, probably also involving a sibling, literally, news or information or something good coming from or through a sibling. You could also look at this as learning. Jupiter likes to learn. He's an instructor energy. He's in the house of skills-based learning. Some of you will be instructed, and you will take learning over the next 6 months after this eclipse to help you with your work, because there's a Jupiter square to the work house, the 6th house of work protocols. Maybe you're going to take a course of some kind over the next 6 months that helps you better serve your clients or your customers or your audience or whoever you apply your work to, okay? Venus is in the work house, and she's the lord of your 10th, so she really wants, she's a lord of the 10th house, the Libra zone, and she's in the work house during this eclipse. She wants to make your work life, your business and career life smooth, fun, playful, pleasurable, easy, enjoyable. And that's a new call for you. Can you make that happen? Jupiter wants it to happen. So, I mean, he's trying to apply goodness to this energy. So let's see what you can do, or what the universe does for you in the next 6 months. Here's me, guys. Woo, Aquarius rising. Yay for us. Woohoo. Aquarius sun, moon, and a sun, and especially rising sign, of course. Well, you know, it's all about that romance story that I said in the earlier part of my thing. Look at that. A lot of energy propelling during this eclipse cycle for a lot of Aquarians to fortify their connections to their children, strengthen their children relationships, a lot of focus on their kids, a desire to find joy, fun, play, and pleasure, and enjoy life, sexuality, love, and romance, all highlighted. Across the way, the lunar eclipse, though, is actually in a different place. It's saying let go of the 11th house energies. This is social, friends, networks, groups you belong to. It's the great gains from one's career. A lot of Aquarians may loosen the grip on killing it financially. Like I can attest to that. Best financial year last year, and I killed it, but I was exhausted, I think, at the end of the year. And this year I'm not hustling at all. I've already felt the eclipse cycle. It's been going on really in earnest since mid last year, but since the eclipses of November and December 2020, I have zero hustle left. I am like, just like not even, you know. The good thing is that my business runs on referrals and I don't actually have to advertise, but I have to say that if I wasn't in a desire to hustle, I would be going against the grain of the chart. So I can't hustle for great gains right now. I'm letting go of the 11th house. I'm softening right now. I've lost some friends, and friendship circles have shifted over the last while with this eclipse cycle. And a lot of Aquarians have noticed that, but it's okay, you know, and new friends will come in, South Node, 11th house, that are very karmic, soulmated friends as well, new social circles, new groups of belonging, hopes, dreams, and wishes. What do you want, Aquarians? Well, the South Node eclipse is softening what you thought you wanted. It's kind of like, you don't always get what you want, but you get what you need, maybe. Some of you are reframing your goals, basically. And this next 6 months after this eclipse for Aquarius rising, especially, a lot of you are going to change your mind. A lot of you are going to release the old goals, the old dreams, the old hopes, all right? And you're going to try to bring something new, or something you will be birthing into this year. Jupiter in the second house is bountiful money. So Jupiter is, you know, spacious and grand and expansive, a gas giant. He makes things bigger, and he's big himself. And his entrance into Pisces for all Aquarius risings is going to be a time anyway. And he'll be there he'll be there until July 28th this year, 2020. Then he'll be back late October through to May 11th. Late December through to May 11th. And then he'll be back again at the last 2 months of 2022. It's a long, weird zigzag. But for Aquarius risings, this eclipse is happening, asking this Jupiter to participate. So a lot of Aquarians are going to find that whatever happens in the next 6 months is a longer arc of what's going to happen over the next year and a half in terms of bounty and boosting of money. And yes, it's the revenue house. It's the money that comes to the earnings from you being you in the world. The money is your possessions accumulating and getting bigger. It sextiles the real estate house. A lot of Aquarians will buy real estate or expand their home base. A lot of goodness here for Aquarians of the world. You have to take action, right? Jupiter is squaring the nodes. It's not like the revenue shows up because you stayed in bed for 6 months. So consider that Jupiter is offering a hand, and you have to step up to the plate. All right, up to the plate. So I'll give you an example. My Divine Timing Masterclass, that's now halfway done. This launched in the eclipse window a couple of weeks ago. I love teaching a group of people. I have 51 students in the class. It is expanding my revenue because I'm leveraging my time, right? Instead of one-on-one, I'm one-on-many. But it's also something I'm really enjoying. So things like this for Aquarius rising, whether you're employed or self-employed, you're going to find ways to make money flow with greater joy and ease over the next year and a half. And this eclipse in the next 6 months will show you how. Pisces, this is for you. Woo, Pisces. Wow, wow, wow. So you guys are getting it like double-ended, right? Because the eclipses are angular to you, right? Angular, they're in the 10th and the 4th, and you're squaring the eclipses. So, you know, you are like the Gemini, the Sagittarius, and the Virgos. You are getting a lot of intensity from these eclipses, and especially if your rising sign is anywhere near the 10-degree mark of Pisces, or if your sun and moon is near the 10-degree mark of Pisces, especially within 3 degrees on either side. So this is your time. This is Jupiter in your home sign, your first house for the rising sign folk. What a lovely experience to have your home sign planetary lord come back to roost, you know? And so you're going to have a great year and a half as this on goes, you know, in bits and spurts through the next year and a half as Jupiter comes in and out of Pisces. Now, this eclipse is particularly robust because the square energy is coming from the angular houses, the cardinal houses, the stakes of the chart, the kentrons. Houses 4 and 10, like 7 and 1, move your destiny, move your fate. And a lot of you guys are going to be surprised by what changes, because sometimes we can't really get our handle on it, an eclipse on the angles until it happens. You're certainly going to find some changes in your home. You may sell a home, buy a home, expand a home. North Node, you know, energy, Venus, goddess of love, money, pleasure, luxury, Mercury, mercantile, merchandising, selling, commerce, negotiations, right? This looks like a lot of Pisces, Sun, Moon, and especially Ascendant will be looking at real estate development stuff in the next 6 months. You also are going to let go of some career stuff like ambition and attainment, success and drive. You don't have to quit your job or your career, but some of you will find that you can't focus on the top of the chart the way you used to. You're really focused on the home base for some reason. And so there's a call to let go of your sense of career purpose for a while, or not worry about your reputation and status in the world. Focus down in the domestic private life, your home, your land, your real estate. It's the house of the mother, maybe your relationship to your mom, fortify that as well. Now, because Jupiter is in your first house and this eclipse bakes it in under the light of this beautiful star Formalhaut, Archangel Gabriel, it just feels really auspicious for your health, because the first house is your body. And it doesn't matter where your ascendant is. I mean, obviously, if your ascendant was at 1 or 2 degrees of Jupiter sitting on it, you're feeling really good right now, if not getting a little bit fat. Jupiter in the first house transit will put weight on you. Like I put on 8 or 9 pounds as Jupiter's been going through Aquarius, my first house. So, but it's okay, because Jupiter gives you the weight you need to be healthy. You know, maybe you were too skinny like me. So you might put a bit of weight on, but you're going to feel more vital, more robust, more exercise oriented, more healthy, more excited about being in a body. And if you've had health problems, they will resolve, or you will find a teacher, guide, or guru, or somebody to help you resolve them. You could be charismatic, magnetic. People want to follow you. You feel like a leader to them. You have a sort of a buoyant authority to you. And this eclipse will bake that into the next 6 months. You being you, fully you in any way you want. Certainly you being Jupiterian, right? He's the Lord of your chart. Being a leader, being generous, being magnanimous, being a teacher, being an instructor, being a guide, being a guru. Yeah, all of those are yours to claim. This eclipse is baking in the story. And even though Jupiter's in your first house only until May 11th this time, and then back again late in the year, it's still baking it into the next 6 months because it's stamped into the eclipse sky, all right? So that's my tale for you. I love it. I'm excited for you, Pisces folk. A lot of you dreamy, mystical, magical people are going to have a real good run over the next 6 months. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop the share. Got my mic in my hand, leaning back here because now you can't tell, but I'm on a stool, my feet on another stool. And I'm just like, okay, that was that. Divine Timing Masterclass. I'm going to teach it again. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget, I got a promotion. Sign up for my newsletter, link below. When you sign up, anybody who signs up as a newbie between May the 17th and May the 30th can win the Book of the Moon, a set, which is a really cool book set of moon lore. It comes in a little box set. I bought it at a used bookstore and it's in perfect condition, and I love it, but I'm moving. And 2 free readings I'm giving away. And I'm going to give away the Jupiter reading because it's about a Jupiter eclipse. So I'm going to give away my Jupiter luck reading for 2 lucky people. So I'm hoping to get at least maybe 50 subscribers. So if you know somebody who might want to be in a draw and you're listening to this, please just send them the link below in my description box. Alrighty, ciao guys. Ciao. We're still doing the round the wheel with all the signs. And the reason I'm looking a little different is I actually went all the way to Pisces, and then I stopped, and then I went out and got groceries. I got really hot and bothered on a hot day here in Montreal, and I got back and realized I forgot to do Aries, I forgot to do Taurus, and I forgot to do Gemini. So here we go. We're going to start all over again. And not all over. We're going to add the missing signs, and I'm going to try to paste this together in a mashup of editing a video. All right, I'm not a good video editor. I'm going to get my daughter to do it. All right, moving on. Oops, I don't want to be at Taurus. Excuse moi. All right, so Aries, I'm an Aries, sun, moon, and ascendant. We are getting a lot of action in that ninth house with this lunar eclipse. What are we needing to let go of? Surrender, release, maybe, soften up, or what's being revealed in the area of God, truth, wisdom, soul, foreign lands, publications, and higher education. You know, with the North Node, South Node transit through that corridor for the rest of this year, the 9 third house axis, there is an emphasis on learning. There's no doubt about it. And, you know, the South Node and the top of the chart means it's not time to go back and get your, you know, degree in history or anthropology or philosophy or English or something you can't really functionally use, because the North Node is pointing to or advocating for skills-based learning. Okay, that's what's going on in the third house. Learning things you can use, like how to, you know, how to, I don't know, solder, how to make jewelry. I'm going to be learning a second-year advanced astrology course with my teacher, Chuta Bava of Nightlight Astrology, starting in June. That would be appropriate because it's the North Node in the third house. I'm not going to learn from him how to, I don't know, how to parse Socrates versus Plato, you know, ninth house theme. So basically, I would say for a lot of the Aries, especially ascendant, but also sun and moon, pay attention in the next 6 months to what is being asked of you regarding learning focus, especially with Mercury in Gemini, the learning energy himself, the self-expressing, curious George, the, you know, the idea of the mental faculties that Mercury has when he's in Gemini in the third house of writing. That's the other thing. Some of you Aries people may be propelled to start blogging or writing or draft writing stuff. A lot of writing can happen when this eclipse is baking in that North Node energy with Venus and Mercury in the third house. Now, you may have some sibling issues to deal with because the third house is siblings and the moon is opposing it from the ninth. So just keep your eye on, you know, sibling turbulence. But with benefic Venus in the third house of siblings, sibling turbulence will be smoothing out. Local friends in the neighborhood, things going on in your local neighborhood, pleasure and joy in your local neighborhood, kind of baked into the next 66 months. Sorry, I'm gonna get comfy here. Sorry, give me a minute. Got to like kick up my feet or something. Oh my gosh. Okay, I didn't stretch after my like long walk with heavy groceries. Okay, so what else? You guys are looking at Jupiter in the 12th house of gurus and guides and meditations and dreams at night. This is a classic transit. It's going to last, by the way, till May 11th this year, where you're going to get big dreams, you know, shamanic dreams, insight dreams, downloads from your dreams, powerful spiritual awakening dreams. If you want to have an enlightenment episode, there's nothing like Jupiter, the guru, dispeller of darkness, traipsing through your 12th house. So some of you might find that appealing. Some of you Aries people, sun, moon, and ascendant. Now, hey, you know, a spiritual teacher can become a part of the narrative with Jupiter in the 12th. If that happens and a spiritual guru, guide, a mentor, or teacher comes up into your life over the next 6 months, he's going to kick ass and push you and, you know, push you and square you, you know, in the lunar nodes to kind of get with your destiny, get with your enlightenment program, get with your spiritualization of your reality. The ninth house where the moon is the Dharma house. It's one's purpose. It's one's meaning of one's life. Maybe it's softening the south node there to say you have to have a reformation of your purpose. Maybe there's a new purpose for your life now. In Vedic astrology, the ninth is the house of the father. A softening and a lunar eclipse letting go of father stories, father dynamics, father issues, maybe as well. I mean, normally the sun has its joy in that house, the ninth house. So it is a very, you know, patriarchal, masculine, authoritative house, and that the moon is there, the feminine, and the lunar node is there, south node, soften, let go, relax, surrender, and release. So keep that in mind. If any of you Aries, sun, moon, and ascendant are thinking of taking trips overseas to foreign shores, another meaning of the ninth house, with the south node lunar energy, I'd say it would be a feeling of familiarity. You may travel someplace that you've been before or feel like you've been before, like another lifetime. You know, a friend of mine's thinking moving to Lisbon, and I was thinking, well, maybe I'll go visit her this fall if she goes there. She's going to spend a couple months sussing out Portugal. I love Portugal. I haven't been there since 1985. So that would be very much for an Aries, Aries moon and sun, maybe indicative of a south node foreign land type energy. South node lunar eclipse foreign land, revealing to me that my true love of Portugal is where I want to be. All right. I think that's all I want to say. Okay. So let's get going. Taurus, sun, moon, and ascendant. You can see that the lunar eclipse energy is in your 8th house of money, money, money. And it's not your money. It's the banks. It's the credit cards. It's your partners. It's inheritances. Some of you Taurus, sun, moon, and ascendant may be up for an inheritance with that lunar eclipse in your 8th house. Now, it also could be that money that's owed you comes back, credit cards get paid off, or debts get repaid, or tax refunds come in. Who knows? Because, there's a square from Jupiter in his dignity in Pisces in the 11th house of pennies from heaven and great gains from one's career. And just a very lucky house. And so Jupiter is, squaring the 8th house, but still bringing some kind of bounty from a money house to a money house. The 8th house could be money that you've leaned on that you shouldn't be, like parental money coming to you because you're a student, or a spouse, financing your life. And then all of a sudden the North Node is activating, you Taurians, your 2nd house of earnings, of hustle, of making your way, of revenue, of being prosperous by virtue of you being you in the world. And with the North Node there until the end of the year, I think it looks like you might really pick up your bootstraps and get some revenue and employment going, or new money streams showing up in your life over the next 6 months, almost like lean away from dependency money and into your own resources. A lot of you Taurus, sun, moon, and ascendant, so will benefit financially a lot from Venus, money goddess, baking into this eclipse with Mercury, the mercantile, marketing, merchandising god himself. So there's nothing like a good goddess of money in a money house to bake itself into an eclipse for you. Hallelujah. And Mercury can bring money in many ways, messaging and selling and all of that stuff. Jupiter is, in the 11th house under the light of a very mystical occult star. Remember that. You might get involved in groups where there's a spiritual teacher or leader that has something to do with, spirituality, occult mysteries, magic. You may study or join a meditation group with a meditation teacher. That could be very Jupiter and Pisces in the 11th. But you may form new alliances and social circles with people that are more spiritual, or who are involved in an educational setting. But, with Jupiter on Formalhaut, the mystical, magical star, and with Jupiter in Pisces, it's not likely to be, this isn't like you're going to join a church, really. I think it'd be more like joining a full moon meditation group or something. Something more woo, something more mystical and magical. Your hopes, dreams, and wishes is the house that Jupiter is going through for the first 5 months of 2020. From May 13th to July 28th. I hope I didn't say that wrong for somebody else. I'm a little delirious right now. So from May 13th to July 28th, there is Jupiter going through Pisces. Yikes. Probably said it wrong because I'm wonky, hot, and tired. But anyway, and that's a duration of time where your hopes, dreams, and wishes are being Jupiterized. Your goals are getting Jupiter juice. You may find that you decide to adopt more magnanimous, magnificent, expansive, go big or go home goals in your life. This may be you shedding little goals and adopting big dreams and wishes for your own life. Since Jupiter is a Santa Claus of the zodiac and he's getting baked into this eclipse, you could expect some lucky breaks financially, or friends doing you favors over the next 6 months. All right. Okay, let's keep going. All right, so we're talking about the Gemini folk, the last but never least of this particular series. You guys are having the lunar eclipse in the house of marriage, the 7th house of relationships that are monogamous or lasting. Business partnerships are here as well. You could also find this as your audience, your clients, or the marketplace you serve. For some of you Gemini, this letting go and softening in the 7th house is a part of a longer letting go of your marriage. Some of you Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants have been looking at how to release yourself or how to not be so attached to your primary partner, or so for some of you, your business partner. And you know, the South Node is softening that part of the chart. A South Node transit through the marriage house, if you're married, it's not easy. It often leads to the end of a relationship. Now, it's also, if you're a single Gemini, and that transit began in, you know, June of 2020, and the South Node finishes in your 7th house kind of the end of this year. So it's a longer story, but this lunar eclipse is snapshotting like a moment in time where this is a more acute theme for the next 6 months. And it's involving a couple of things, right? So let's get to that. It's involving Jupiter in the 10th house of public reputation and status, not just career. So maybe for some of you Gemini, there's a public announcement of a divorce or separation or moving away from each other in a primary relationship, you and your partner. If you're single, you know, sometimes South Node transits to the 7th. I've seen it bring in soulmate love. You know, a new relationship with somebody, you feel like that South Node energy, destiny, karma, sense of inevitability, a partner of destiny, a divine complement. This feeling of some, you know, force of destiny bringing this person to you. You also have that Jupiter, you know, at the top of the chart, you know, squaring that whole Sun, North Node, and Venus, Mercury in the 1st house. Now, for some of you Gemini, Sun, Ascendant, Sun, and Moon, it's time to get better oriented toward your physical body. Venus in that 1st house is being snapshot or baked into the next 6 months. Attend to your attend to your grooming, you know, your hair, your makeup, your clothing, you know, be impeccable, you know, and focus on the details. Gemini is there for some reason, like almost like good grooming and physical etiquette and looking good and bringing on some of your charm and your magnetic persuasive qualities are being called forth. I mean, come on, the Lord of your chart, the Lord of your life, Gemini, is at home in your home sign. He gets sort of stamped into the next 6 months of this eclipse cycle because it's there when it happens. So you're going to be very facile at communicating. You're going to be very persuasive in your communication style. And you're going to be bringing a bit more glam and charisma to the way you present yourself to the world with Venus right there as well. You know, you guys are getting a lot of this energy, just like the Sagittarius and then also the Pisces and the Virgos of the world, the ascendant particularly, because of course, these eclipses for you are going through your 1st house of identity. And a bigger way of saying this for a lot of you Gemini people is Sun and Moon, and especially rising sign, is that you guys are asked to really focus on you. It's like a sacred selfishness. It's the North Node going through your 1st house. It's you be you, you do you, you know you, you redefine you, you blow you up, you inflate you. You know what I mean? That kind of energy. So this is not the time to hide in the shadows and, you know, tiptoe backstage. This is your coming out time, this eclipse cycle. And, you know, as I said in the beginning, go back and listen. But, you know, it's what was going on in like mid-October of 2001 to April of 2003. It's recapitulating this for you, Gemini, this coming out of your identity and this stepping into a stronger sense of who you really are. All right, Geminis, I hope that's helpful. Now, I'm finishing up my series of readings here by reminding everybody that I have a sale, not a sale, I always have a sale, reminding everybody that you can sign up for my newsletter and you'll get into a draw for 2 free readings with me, Jupiter readings with me, and somebody's going to get a lunar book set that I'm going to mail to them. It's really cool. It's all these little books about the moon, and they're bound into a little bookcase set, you know, tiny little thing, but they're really cute. I want to show it to you, but I can't figure out where I put it now. So anyway, I bought it at a used bookstore about 3 years ago. I love it. It was when I was like branding myself as Lunatic Astrology. And now that I'm moving from Montreal back to Vancouver, there's just no point in really taking it. This is because I don't have my desk. I'm recording in my bedroom and you're just seeing me make do. All right. Bye guys. Ciao, ciao.